This entry into the history of financial futures is sponsored by Eurex.
We always had the problem that when we introduced something new, the names were a problem. Because if they are speaking names like the new so-and-so interface, then somewhere the new so-and-so wasn't actually new because it was already 5 years old. And so we were looking for a name that doesn't say too much, is short, and you can still have a copyright on it. And we wanted many names because we have many systems. And so they came up with, I like it very much. I like prime numbers from my history when I was at Cambridge doing some number theory. So primes are always great. So 7 was a great number, at least a prime. And so we have copyrights for T7, C7, R7, N7. So T is our trading, C is our clearing. We have N for our network, N7 as a product name. So, yeah, it doesn't really say anything, I would say, but it turns out to be at least neutral. And it doesn't claim to be the super latest, greatest, which then becomes, say, an adult at some point in time. And you always think, why has this to be the enhanced, new, wonderful, Yeah, and so I think it served us pretty well. Obviously, Deutsche Boerse not only runs a derivatives market, Eurex, but Deutsche Boerse also runs cash trading. So after we had cut over derivatives to the new trading system, we still had the cash trading system based on Open VMS. Not very natural. And we were actually quite keen on moving equity and bond trading over also to the T7 system, but obviously, derivatives trading is very important also economically for Deutsche Boerse, and the cash business, at least over the last 20 years, has not grown its percentage of revenue contribution to Deutsche Boerse. So there were so many things that Eurex wanted that it took a while to get us to the cash market. And finally, in 2016, we convinced everybody it's the right time to move cash trading also on the T7 platform. And that made it possible to develop T7 into a true all asset class trading system. And there is actually a difference to other trading platforms that not only can the trading system trade futures, options, equities, bonds, energy derivatives, and alike, but actually, we also run just one instance for all of this. So it's really physically the same system that trades all German shares, all German equity options, and the Bund future and the Eurostoxx future. And why is this good or bad? Well, one thing also has, of course, disadvantages. But one of the things that is for certain, if it's one runtime instance, the protocols really are the same. And this was one of the things that we felt is really good for the market. We have a lot of participants who trade with us cash as well as derivatives, and keeping all the protocols towards the customers alike for cash and derivatives really generates a lot of synergies on the client side. Whether it's sell side or buy side banks, when you have to code against every another exchange with a different system, with a different protocol, it always comes at a price. And so this was something that I think till today serves us extremely well, that we have one runtime instance here for cash and derivatives for the main market here at least. And in contrast to the launch in 2013 for the derivatives market, now T7 was a kind of mature platform in 2017 after 5 years in service. And so we could dare to move over all DAX shares on a single day and everything, which was also appreciated by the community. Yeah. That is where we currently still are. All our major markets run on a single platform, including partner markets where we provide technology to, like the Vienna Stock Exchange or Prague Stock Exchange or others there. Also our colleagues in Leipzig running the European Energies Exchange. Energy derivatives are traded on T7. And as I said, that creates synergies. Same data center, same protocols for all those markets. That's very much appreciated by our clients. Yeah. The last piece of trading infrastructure that we still had on the old Open VMS part was the support of our floor trading and the certificates and warrants trading. This is a very different market. It's a specialist market. It was running on the old platform. And also there, of course, at some point in time, we wanted to get rid of the old systems. So we also cut this over in 2020, actually, in August 2020, on T7. They got their own instance. There, we didn't put it on the main system. Why? Well, certificates and warrants trading, you have so many warrants. There's more than 1.5 million different instruments you can trade. That just pushing out the reference data is wonderful. And it's also more of a German local market. So it's a slightly different community. There's not as much overlap with the, you could say, international market. So we invested in a few extra boxes and run it kind of side by side to the, you could say, big T7 for all the other markets. And that helped us to really get rid of all the Open VMS boxes for trading. You remember we all started in 1990 with our, the mother of all our systems, a DTB trading system. Actually, it still served us till the end of last year as a reference data system in the back. So our Open VMS boxes were still producing the reference data for example, new expiries or member and clearer data till last year. And only end of last year, that system was shut down, and the duties were taken over by the new systems there. Yeah, I mean, what definitely has continued over the years is that the man against machine battle is now a machine against machine battle. And there are two dimensions of that, which maybe are also worthwhile mentioning. I mean, one is machine against machine when everything that happens within the same data center. You're sitting at an exchange, you're listening to the market data, you want to react on market data, how fast can you be? You want to have the shortest cables, the fastest response times. So this is something that went down from seconds when I joined to nanoseconds now. So it's 9 orders of magnitude shorter reaction times, essentially. And we can see that the fastest of our clients now have reaction times in the order of 10 nanoseconds. Say differences now in fiber optic cable length of 20 centimeters make a really difference, and decide on whether certain trades you get or you don't get. But that's only one part. That's the part where people react on things that happen in the data center where the exchange is located. The other part is that you might react on data that happens elsewhere. So interest rate decision in the US triggers something in Europe, or the other way around. And there's also a little story. One of the mates in my team did a cycling tour near our data center. And when you look at the data center, you always see the antennas on the roof. Now, what are they good for? They make the microwave connections so that you can exchange fast signals to the next microwave tower and so on till you reach London, because this is the highway in Europe for data in the financial world is between London and Frankfurt. In the US, it's between Chicago and New York, right? And so when the guy was cycling there, looking at the antennas, there was one pointing in the wrong direction. What does that mean? Who wants to transmit a signal in that direction? There is nothing there. So he got curious and actually followed with the bike the direction where the antenna was pointing, having a look, and ended up on a field close by where there was the receiver antenna and a very big short wave antenna. And then this explains what happens. Short wave can travel over long distances faster, particularly over the Atlantic, than using a fiber optic cable under the Atlantic. So there were people using microwave connections from the data center to a big shortwave antenna, and then another big shortwave antenna in Chicago, close to Aurora, taking that signal and feeding it into CME or the other way around. Shortwave has a lot of sounds like a very old technology. It is not the most modern, but if you look around a little bit, there are companies which provide specific services to link up data centers in different continents with shortwave connections, which can enable you to transfer a few bytes, or sometimes, I think at the time it was only a few bits, 7 bits, faster than taking fiber optic and microwave connections. So the race is still on. It's on everywhere. In your data center, you have to watch out, but also between data centers. And on our side, as I said before, one of the most important things for us is to be able to measure all of this. And when it comes to these nitty-gritty time differences, you almost turn into a physics lab. So the technology that we use to really measure this means we have to sync the clocks of the different devices very precisely that we have. Otherwise, you can't measure and you can't determine what was first. And here we use actually a protocol developed by the high physics community at CERN, the big accelerator in Switzerland, for doing their experiments there. Probably the most complicated machine on Earth. The CERN accelerator uses a time synchronization protocol called White Rabbit. We also use since a few years to sync our clocks and be able to measure what the outside world throws at us and understand whether it's as we expect or there's something that we can improve or that is not as it should be. So also a funny twist where you come back after a lot of time towards the physics research labs, more or less, and looking for things that are happening there and whether you can make use of this. Of course, the tech-savvy, particularly high-frequency trading firms always look for new technologies and interesting things that happen. But even the big old exchanges, you could say, then turn to that and turn to either physics labs or specialized protocols that give you what you need these days. It has always been a source of inspiration. I mean, there's one thing is for certain: people that trade and have their own P&L, they are super focused. They understand enormously much, and you can learn a lot from them, whether this is on the functional or the technical side. Technically, I would say it's typically the bleeding edge things that people use is not what they want to talk about. They normally talk about the technology that they have already phased out with others. But actually, for an exchange, that might be still pretty okay. We don't want to be bleeding edge. We want to be leading edge in stability and always provide our service at any time. And there's a difference between a trading shop that is probably willing to accept a certain, say, outage rate or downtime every now and then, if you get other properties, namely good P&L from that. This is not something that we are aspiring to. So I would say we learn enormously from the community, and that's also one of the things that is super important, to have a good and constructive dialogue with our members. And quite frankly, they're always challenging us. So for me, it's 24 years at the exchange, and we've always been challenged. And I like the attitude that we also get pressure to do things better, and that people point out where we are not so good. And also maybe if someone else, might be another exchange or trading venue, also has a great idea that we didn't have. Why not? The whole world lives from sharing ideas and trying to distill the best of breed ideas to make the world a better place. And for us on the exchange side, the same is true. Sometimes maybe we've been innovative and had the idea first, and we also don't mind if other places share these, and also use that on the technology side. And it's also the other way around. Sometimes others are more innovative, or have a clever idea. Why don't use a clever idea that somebody else has? I think this makes the world go round. Yeah? It's definitely a source of inspiration. By now, I have to admit that also quite a few of my former staff members work for some of our trading members. So there's even almost a community of people who kind of used to work for the exchange and now works on the other side. And I also have staff that work for some trading members the other way around, right? And so there's an exchange of ideas in communication, but sometimes even in people moving from one side to the other.